times per second. Hell, if jerking off were an Olympic sport, he would have taken home enough gold medals in recent months to fill every closet in his apartment.
Jesus Christ,
Henrik gritted out, wishing he could finish without what came next. If he could orgasm just once without thinking of Ailish, maybe he could fall asleep that night without feeling like an unredeemable son of a bitch. But no. The weighted sack suspended between his thighs wouldn't be coaxed into emptying without thinking of the sweet redhead. He always pictured them in the park, the one and only place they'd ever shared oxygen. This time she came toward him with a knowing look, her eyelids drooping low to cover half of those bright hazel orbs that defied their plain four-letter name. Eyes. No, this girl didn't simply have eyes. She had torture devices. They held intelligence and inexperience at the same time, enough of both qualities to stun him silent. Closer. She was closer now, running slender hands up and over her swaying hips. As always in his fantasies, she knew what he'd done, knew he'd protected her name, her life, knew he would never ask for anything in return. But she wanted to give it to him anyway. Henrik groaned as moisture purled on the tip of his dick and was quickly washed away by the raining water. No going back now. She'd reached him on the sidewalk at the park's edge, and the world around them had suspended its animation, everything frozen but the two of them, even the street sounds and characteristic Chicago wind. She stopped an inch away and slipped those delicate hands up his stomach, his pecs. "I've been thinking about you," Ailish murmured. The very idea of him appearing in her head sent a jolt of need to his loins, forcing him to tighten his fist and pump with more force. Apparently, his imaginary self was easy like that. "You have?" The gorgeous redhead gave him a shy nod. "You protected me." Her eyes raked up and down his body. Liking what she saw? Since this was his fantasy, Henrik was going with hell yeah. "If I needed protecting again, could you keep me safe? With your body?"
"Yes,"
Henrik rasped, the sincere affirmation bouncing off the shower walls.
"I'd do whatever was needed. Nothing could stop me."
Black eyelashes swept down to hide her eyes before revealing them once more, the impact almost knocking him back a step. "Could you show me right now?" Henrik's bracing hand curled into a shaking fist on the shower wall as the second self in his mind stooped down and picked up Ailish. One forearm beneath her ass was all it took, her lips parting on a whimper as both feet left the ground. She clung to his shirt collar, seeming a little unsure. But fuck. Then she sneaked her thighs up around his hips, all slow and mischievous. Not quite snuggling his cock, but close enough that her heat reached through his fly and sucked. Ailish stared at his mouth. "Can you show me more?" She leaned closer, her tits grazing the front of his shirt. "How you'd protect me?" 2 steps, and he had Ailish crushed against the side of his police vehicle, the backs of her high heels bouncing off the doors. Good. Dent them. Henrik didn't give a fuck about anything but the girl gasping for breath in front of him. He savored a second of anticipation before shoving his rigid cock against the seam of her body, the seam that gave pleasure, gave life.
"Give it all to me. You wanted me to show you, Ailish."
"Yes." He rolled his tongue along the roof of his mouth.
"I would keep my body between you and danger at all times. Nothing and no one would touch you but me."
Using his hips, he pushed her higher up the car's exterior, mentally recording her soft cry of surprise.
"Inside or out?"
One of her high heels dropped onto the sidewalk. Maybe his reaction to the lost shoe stemmed from her being that much more naked, or perhaps her lack of concern for the dropped footwear accounted for the surge of lust. For whatever reason, though, that forgotten high heel pushed Henrik past the line of his defenses, his consciousness whittling down to his wet...